pretty much, I think.
Thank you.
What page are we going?
I'm gonna show Brian Black sick. Talk to me, he called me. There's Luke, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here it
I can go to the other table.
is. I can move over here too. We can,
Or
That's
share a book.
go over there. I can go there. Sure, sit here.
Oh, now you did it, I'm
We
leaving.
can share a book
I can go here.
instead of,
We can both be incognito.
it's up to you.
I know, I make, after my long sabbatical, I come back, wise guys over here going, oh my God.
Okay, we're gonna start it, I guess it's November 8th, 2017, and it's the meeting of the Budget Committee at the Town Hall. And tonight, we're gonna talk about economic development, patriotic purposes, Parks and Rec, Pop Whalen Community Center, and the Clark House. Why don't we do economic development first? And Kathy, you gonna give that presentation? Thank you.
Well, good to see all you folks again. Another year, and here we are, right? So, there really isn't any changes in the Budget Committee, the Economic Development Committee's budget for this year, 2018, that we are proposing. Basically, if you want to go through them line by line, I have to answer any questions that you happen to have. But our emphasis is on trying to help businesses in Wolfeboro do the very best that they can do in the ways that we can with the limited resources that we have.
Okay, Kathy. Let's start with the 100 series, which is part-time wages.
Big boy.
Any questions on that one? 200 series? 300 series? 500 series?
Do you have any way of, I asked this question last year, I think, any way of measuring the effectiveness of your advertising?
No. That's the problem with advertising. 50% of it works, but you can't figure out which 50% does. And
So-
it's an age-old adage of
It
retail.
is,
You're
it's
just
a
not gonna-
difficult one.
you're
There's
not gonna
some
figure it
things
out.
that we do that we can see more, have a little bit better handle on results than others. One of the things is that in the advertising that we do through Yankee Magazine, which most people are familiar with, they do send us information about people who have requested additional information. So we know when we get a request from Yankee Magazine sends us a whole list of people and their addresses, and those people have actually requested more information about vacationing in Wolfeboro. We know we're getting some kind of response there. Does that mean that's the only place we should advertise? Absolutely not. So we have to balance it with what we know we're getting with that particular kind of demographic. We know those people. We know that a number of those magazines are not mailed in New Hampshire, even in New England, that they go all over the country. So, so that's a nice measure, and that's why we put more emphasis there. We actually are in every single issue of Yankee this year, and with a cooperation between the chamber and the town. They gave us a really good rate, and so we were able to stretch our dollars even more there. When I was in the business of selling advertising, and I'd go back and see my customers when my husband and I owned the Laker for many years, and somebody would say, "Oh, Kathy, I want to do the same thing I did last year. My business is up 20%. As long as that keeps happening, I'm going to keep advertising with you. I'm going to do the same thing." So I'd like to see that every year, but you just don't know. I mean, we're a town that is so dependent on the tourism, that part of our budget, which is the majority of it. Of course, we have another part of our budget that we really try to utilize in trying to attract businesses to Wolfeboro, and then this next year we're looking at swinging that around to try to assist in maybe attracting a workforce to Wolfeboro to help with that situation. That's very important to our businesses in terms of trying to find people who work for us. A long answer to your question is it's tough. And we're always looking for different opportunities that we think may do better for us, but when we have a response that we have where we can actually count, and that we're talking numbers of in two ads that we ran when we started the Yankee Magazine, we had over 800 responses for inquiries. So for every one person that actually said, I want some information, how many other people went on their own to the internet to get the information? I don't know, but it's a tough one.
Yeah. That brings up the question, and I think, I don't want to belabor it here. This workforce problem, housing for workforce is a big problem here.
Sure. It's a combination
Because
of
I know
things.
every time I go past plastic, they've got a sign saying
Yep.
they want people. So do you have any interface with them at all?
Yes,
Housing?
we do, and, both from both the Economic Development Committee directly and the Wentworth Economic Development Corporation, which works with them very closely, and that we have a partnership with them as well. It is hard for them to get the people with the training that they need, but they are working in different ways. We've also tried to facilitate connections between the Technology Center and GA Plastique so that they can maybe be teaching them the beginnings of the things that they would need to go into that course. So that's part of our role, is to try to facilitate putting people together in that range. But they're good jobs. Those are good paying jobs. But you do need a certain level of skill set. So we don't, and I think a lot of that comes back to something that we discuss at our meetings that has to do with attracting younger people to live in our community. You know, we don't have as many, our people go away after they educate here. But we also find that there are people who are grown up and educated in other places that come here to raise their families. So, you know, there's a trade-off in those areas, but we sure are looking at it all the time. Yeah.
Okay, 600 series. 800 series. Okay, it looks like the budget is up 0.49%, $67. Kathy, do you have any questions?
No, I really don't, so.
Anyone else have any questions, Kathy? No. Thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
All right, no problems.
Have a good
Anytime, let me know. Thank you very much.
David, is our Parks and Rec Director going to do all the remaining stuff? Okay, once you come on up, we'll start with patriotic purposes. Get that out of the way.
Christine, you dropped a paper.
Dropped a piece of paper.
Where are we starting? Picture.
Patriotic purposes.
I love the dark section.
Christine, can you just introduce yourself to the members? Some of them may not know you. I'm not sure if everyone does.
Yes, I would love to. I'm Christine Collins. I am the Recreation Director. What else did you want me to say? That's it.
Sorry,
How are you? All right, patriotic purposes.
Okay, I guess we'll start with the 800 series, which is the request for the American Legion for the all the different flags, the grave markers, American flags, the POW flags, the state flags. And then the next section is the fireworks, which is the same $9,000, and that's for the 4th of July, correct?
And actually, when we go to bid, we do a small winter carnival show up at Abenaki, and it's for the 4th of July, so we do a combination.
You have those broken down between the two?
No, it's kind of like for the price we get, because that show up at Abenaki, they just do, it's a Class C, so it's just the boxes. It's not really the guns they fill, so it's just part of the package. So it's like an extra.
Okay, thank you.
They've been doing it that way for years.
Yeah, we did it when we went to bid, just to kind of have a little something.
Okay, does you have any questions on patriotic purposes? It looks like that's all of it. It's a $8 increase over last year, 0.05%. guess we can jump right into Parks and Rec now. Yes.
Administration?
Yeah, administration.
So I have a question. Does, Christine, do you head all of the, so each of these line items, parks administration, maintenance, beaches, Abenaki hockey rink, programs, community center, and library, those all come under your purview?
Library's not mine.
Library's not yours. But all the others are?
Yeah, did you say Clark House?
Community center?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, first section is administration, which is the, first one is the 100 series, which is the supervisor salaries.
I think I asked this question last year. That's all negotiated, so we can't affect this at all, correct?
What, 113?
113, yes.
That's the non-union salaries, that's supervisory. The Board of Selectmen granted a 2.5% salary adjustment for the non-union personnel this year. If you recall, last year they were held to 1.5%, while most of the union people were getting close to 3%, and the selectmen felt that they were due a somewhat larger adjustment this year.
I appreciate that. Does the, between the non-union and the union employees, that would be fire and police and whomever, do they,
Police are unionized, fire or not.
okay. But it seems like every year we get either a 1, 2, or 3% increase in salaries across the board, correct?
It depends, collective bargaining,
Okay.
employees get what they bargained for, the non-union people get what the Board of Selectmen grant them.
Okay. I'm just asking the question because every year we have an increase, and that's always a big nut. And then if we don't have any offsetting increases, we're guaranteed an increase with every budget. And I'd like to see a time when we could have a 0 increase like we did last year, and then hold the budget down. I just asking a question. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Thanks.
fine.
We did some 0 increases back when the recession was at its height or depths, about 2009 or thereabouts.
Yep.
Okay, 200 series?
John,
Yes, sir.
on Parks Administration, on the 100 series, is that where you're at? Parks?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. It appears to me, and I read your backup on it, that you want to replace 2 part-time jobs with a full-time position. And could you, even though I read this, could you give us a summary of that and what you're trying to do? I mean, you have 2 part-timers working 40 hours, and you're trying to replace them with a full-timer working 40 hours. So I would just like to know why and
Okay.
and what's the difference?
Sure. So I'll just hand out these packets. It's just a list of everything we're responsible for, so you kind of have an idea. On the last page is the administration, like their responsibilities, just so you can
Thanks, Kristen.
see.
You okay?
Yeah.
I set it up that way. Just kidding.
Okay, so the last page, I kind of broke down our responsibilities in our office. So when I first started with Parks and Recreation, we had a director, an assistant director, and then we had 1 part-time admin assistant. I believe they were at 20 hours. We then upped some of the hours, and we went to online registration to try to help us as well. And then after we did that, we tried it. As you see from all the budgets I prepare, we have a lot under us. So it really wasn't working. So we asked for a full-time position in the past. It was declined, so we took 2 part-time positions, and we've been trying to make it work. I've been really, as you see, I broke down responsibilities, I gave them different titles. I've switched hours, so it works more for the department and how the flow is, but the truth is, having 2 people handle things, a lot of even employees who come can attest to, you start one thing with one person and it ends with someone else. And I just have so much stuff falling through the cracks, it's really hard to manage. We have a lot, like, we're almost like our mini town hall because we do finances there. We have a lot of stuff going on there. So we're remote from the other departments and we're trying to handle everything we can, but it's hard when you don't have the support staff, you know? So having the 2 part-time positions, you know, it seems like, oh, you still have 40 hours, but if somebody only comes in for 5 hours, by the time they check their email, answer the phones, have a couple customers, people come to the window, then they're like, oh, I gotta go. So I can't give them any projects. It's like I'm taking everything back I give them because they're out of hours for the week. So that's kind of where my thought process is with that. And even the staff will attest to it. They're very frustrated because it's like we keep running in circles because things keep getting left behind because someone started it, then they forgot to pass it off to someone else. They're off for a few days, then it's forgotten.
If I may?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
You know, in the past, I've been, I guess, the primary resistor
Yeah.
against going to a full-time position because of the additional health insurance cost that's associated if you go 30 hours or above, and that's was the primary motivator for keeping it below 30 hours. But I have increasingly come to understand that there are a lot of things falling between the cracks due to, you got one person on in the morning and one in the afternoon, and as evidence of that, just so you're aware, the State Department of Labor conducted an audit this year of our youth employment practices, and they wrote us up for a long list of violations and fined us $14,000 initially.
The town of Wolfeboro?
Well, there's, the state of New Hampshire has a number of labor laws. For instance, you can't have lifeguards that are younger than, what, 16?
Yeah, so we've implemented like a CIT program, LIT program to kind of get lifeguards in training. And through the Red Cross, you can have a lifeguard at age 15. However, through the state, a lifeguard at age 15 can only be at a pool or a water park. They cannot be at a outside beach.
And there was a long list of these things. Some of them included the way the time cards were kept and reported. And I can give you a copy of the report if you want.
Oh.
The good news is that we
I
went
want
to
one.
Concord last week and had a hearing before a hearing officer, and we showed them everything that we've done to come into compliance and what we're doing to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future. And they reduced our fine to $500. We're no longer on the hook for $14,000 in fines. But this is an example of the kinds of things that are, when you got 2 different admin assistants and there's no overlap, I think things do tend to fall between the cracks. And that's why I'm now supporting the full-time administrative assistant position.
Okay, so these 2 people who are the part-timers, what's going to happen to them?
So they are well aware that this is on the table and it could be an option. One has expressed interest, one maybe not, but I just said we're going to do a panel, like I always do. I try to do a panel for positions, and then if they want to apply, they definitely can apply in-house, and then it would go out to anyone else.
So
No one's a shoo-in. It's basically if you want it, you have to apply for it.
So one of them might take the full-time job and the other one might be out?
Right.
Okay. Now, I also see in your support paperwork, you kind of zero this thing out by offsetting it with some revenues that you have raised. Am I correct in that?
Right.
It looks to me like, the hole punch is kind of through some of this stuff, so I don't know what it is, but it's something about season passes and, I guess day camp increase and,
Yep, so what I did is actually, my intent wasn't even to find money for this, but I had gone through kind of our fees to see where we're at, because I know we're highly subsidized, but we also want to be comparable, because we want to be able to, people can pay some for stuff. So I kind of went through that, see where were we at, and we were low in camp, and we were low in just season passes, just the deals they're getting and the daily rates and stuff. So I went through and I calculated all that, and that was a separate project I was working on. Then when I figured it out, I was like, well, gosh, if I bring in this much revenue, this actually offsets the cost of what I'm asking for. So based on what I sold last year, that's how I came up with those figures, to figure out if we did roughly the same amount as last year and this is the rates, that's what I would bring in.
Another thing I see with all of this, though, is we're going to incur a significant increase in maintenance on that new building at Foss Field. I believe you have a line in here somewhere under maintenance of about a $15,000 cleaning bill every year
So
on
that-
the bathroom. So it's almost like there's a little bit of a mix-up going on here, because some of these fees, I would think, would go to offset the cleaning bill on the new pavilion. So in any event, this is all going to result in a significant increase in your budget, because I don't really see all of the offsets as offsetting this full-time job, because you do have you are adding a $15,000 cleaning bill to your so that's it. No, that's okay. I'm done.
You're going to
We have
have
a,
in this as an expense, but we should see something in the increase in revenue possibly. So, but it has to be covered in total as an expense file. Now, I had a couple questions. Do you, and this doesn't apply directly here, do you have some funds available that, I forget what you call them, if some family doesn't have enough money to pay the full cost of the activity? Do you have?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep, so I've been working with Amy from welfare, so we have that.
Okay. Now, will this help? This is a personal problem.
yeah.
Will it help in tracking down people that have not cashed their checks?
Yes, I mean, having one person do a position would make it easier than trying to have this person take it back, and we're passing back and forth. I mean, as far as people not cashing checks, we don't really know they don't cash them until you let us know. But once you tell us, we do try to get a hold of them and make it
Okay, I
happen.
appreciate that. This is private, but people who don't cash a check drive me insane.
I wish I was one of those people.
We know that.
Thank you.
it's easy to say. Yeah, I got a question
Yes.
on the, is the group health insurance like 23,000 increase? Is that because we turn 2 part-time positions into one full-time? So you get an exponentially increase. I mean, I agree with David as far as overlapping time, but that's a pretty big increase, along with group health insurance, disability, dental insurance, and so it's not just the increase of the 5,000 in the wages, it's all the other increases that go along with it, that add to it. So I agree with what David's saying as far as the overlap and so on, but maybe there's some other way that we can use the times that we have, and maybe increase the part-time or something, and have them overlap a little bit better, or, I don't know.
I mean, it's like having, it's just hard to have one person, 2 people fill one person's role. So it's like I've tried to break out their jobs, but like the person doing payroll is now not, well, I took payroll back, but the person doing payroll is not handling the bills. They're not seeing this. So they're not seeing pieces that actually matter for other pieces.
Sure.
So the payroll person had people on payroll that didn't know that the person who's doing the paperwork for the people who started didn't have their paperwork in. So
So
it's
you-
like, yes,
So there are two, there's the director and the assistant director now, and then the two part-time people, am I understanding that
Yes.
correctly? And you want to make it director, assistant director, and then another full-time position?
yes, just a full, so it's one person instead of two people.
Right. And that full-time position is 30 hours?
40.
It's a regular 40-hour
Yes,
position?
yes.
And we can't get two people to do 30 hours? Which would be, or 29 hours under the,
Do health insurance.
no, I mean, 29, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Keep it, give it 29 hours instead of 30 hours, part-time, and then we don't get hit with health insurance and so on and so forth. Is that a possibility?
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but the problem is you're not getting the people you need in that position because it's a part-time position.
Okay.
So you're getting people who are not vested.
Okay.
It's passing time,
Yep.
and it's not their priority, which makes my department not be successful. And it's frustrating.
Of course it is.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes.
What is this supposed to tell us?
Oh, that was just on the back page. It just told, this was just telling you all the properties we manage, so you're aware of what we do. But on the back page, it just was saying what our responsibilities were for the registrar and admin assistant, and then what we handle in the office.
Okay, but all this was addressed by the full-time person you got last year, the mowing and all
Oh,
that.
yeah, that was just so you had it, so you knew what we were managing. But it was the last page you didn't have about the admin stuff.
Now, I don't want to seem mean or anything else, but
Yeah.
I look at the description of what this full-time administrative person is going to do.
Uh-huh.
And when I look at it, I ask myself, what do you do? What do you do?
And that's what this page was.
No, what do you personally do? I look at a lot of these tasks and I go, this to me, in my mind, would be something that the department head would take care of and not an administrative person as far as, you know, some of these staff meetings, payroll. I don't know how you run your department. I don't know what the, you know, what does this administrative person, you've got a list of doing payroll, staff meetings, customer service walk-ins, and you have yourself and an assistant, and I don't understand what you actually do, I guess, other than just tell everybody what to do. Do you do any of these duties?
Yes.
Okay.
So I actually, if you look, it says all the communications I do. So I'm doing all the press releases, all that. Then for programs, I'm part of all the staff hiring, conducting interviews. For all of those facilities, we manage 2 facilities. So one's a ski area, one's an ice rink. And I have to book all the scheduling for that, have the staff schedules for that. Coordinate the facilities because we have all of our stuff online, so we put that in there. And then I'm overseeing all the stuff they do. I mean, payroll, I have to go through it anyways, but I actually took that duty back because we had an issue. So until I can train the right person, I have to do it, but I don't have time to train the right person because they don't have enough hours. The manifest, that's like, all these are not 5-minute projects. If they were, I could bust them out myself. The problem is I only have 24 hours in my day. So, and I'm not working all those hours.
If you're not familiar with what Christine does, you know, she's, and her assistant, they're both as busy as one-armed paper hangers, organizing and administering all these programs and the facilities and everything. I mean, they're extremely flat out most of the time. So.
And you are all welcome to come visit anytime you want, and I can have you come through my day.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If the part-time person who now becomes a full-time person is supposed to knock out part-time wages, how come we're still sitting with an $8,700 number in the part-time wages?
That is, they said I had to put in for vacation time, so if they have like a full-time person would get vacation, so if they were out, then I would have to put that in there. And I believe some of that part-time is in there because it wouldn't take place until March anyways, so we would have to cover up until March, correct? For those wages in there.
I didn't follow the question.
Oh, they were asking why there was money in there still under the part-time wages, Pete, and it's because it doesn't take
We
a...
would know until
Right, the vote.
voters voted on the budget, whether this goes into effect or not.
Right, so up until March, that would cover the 2 people I have already.
Peter, what's gonna be the total cost with insurance and everything for this new part-time person?
I haven't calculated that, John. You got that?
Yeah, it was on that back page, right?
The total cost of what? Insurance?
Yeah, to hire this new person, insurance and all the other stuff.
Quick question here. On line 117, this 8698, that's for the part-timer for the first 3 months, 2018?
Yes.
Beg your pardon?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
This is line 117.
Yeah, that shows $8,698.
Okay, thank you.
So it's for the first 13 weeks for those 2 people.
Got it.
And then there was 20 hours of vacation for the rest of the year. So if we get the full-time position, when they take vacation, if they get vacation, it covers it. So it might not be spent if they don't take vacation.
Okay, thank you.
So you're asking how much health insurance is? Is that what the question was?
Yes, I'm asking what the total cost to be, with the health insurance and everything, to add this person as full-time.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I mean,
Would you just add it up?
it's on that last, not the last page, it's, I
You
don't know
know,
what.
if it's gonna be, I take it from what I'm looking at, group health insurance, one family green is about $30,000.
Right,
One person green is 11,000. So it's anywhere between, it depends who gets the job, whether they have family, whether they have one person.
right,
It could be between 11,000 and $30,000.
yes.
I believe we budgeted a family for 9 months. That's $22,175.
Have we ever explored the possibility of self-insuring, where the town puts money aside and self-insures?
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Okay,
Traditionally hasn't worked. What happens is it works fairly well for the first year or two, and then until you have a catastrophic loss,
right,
it's a costing more.
right. Okay. Just curious.
Our total health insurance cost is only going up, what is it,
Probably less than that, less than 4.
about 4% overall for health insurance, so it's not a big number this year.
All right, I'm gonna do a motion to reduce line 114 by $29,417.
Reduce line 114. For discussion.
That's hourly wages.
Which line?
The hourly wage is the full-time person. Harold has seconded for discussion.
I have something. If, is it possible, I believe you have the 2 part-time jobs broken down into 25 hours and 15 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So there could be some flexibility there that might be a little less costly, like 2 people at 25 hours each, or 25 and 20 hours, or even the possibility of an overtime line with, you know, maybe $10,000 in it. You know, it's, but in any event, if there is a problem, you could add some hours to the part-timers, I would think. You just look at the Parks Administration total is up $37,560, or 16.7%. It does seem a bit much. That's why,
So the other issue we have is we don't have office space. So
Yeah.
when I do have some overlapping, I have somebody sitting at a desk in my
yeah.
office.
yeah, that was in your backup.
Yeah, so that's the other side of it, is they don't have anywhere to go if they overlap.
Okay. And I just have another question for Dave. Regarding that those citations from the state, were any of them specific to this situation?
This situation,
Did the state cite us at all regarding these two part-time positions?
no,
Okay,
but
all right.
there were mistakes, some of them that were made because things got sort of
Okay.
lost in translation between the two part-timers.
Do you have them set up for, so they do split shifts during the day, or do you have like having a full, like one person doing 3 full 8-hour days and the other person come in for?
So I have one person that works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, almost a full day Monday. So it's like, I think it's like 9 to 2:30. And it shifts because Pop Whalen's open, so we're working the window. And then Tuesday, it's 9 to 1:30, I believe, or 2. And then Wednesday is 9 to 12. And then Monday, I have one person off.
Okay.
Tuesday, they work the afternoon shift. Wednesday, Tuesday they work a full day because we have to get the manifest in. Wednesday, we have an afternoon shift. And then Thursday, Friday, our full day is up until the hours run out.
Okay. I have a question, because usually I'm used to a full day being like a 9 to 5 or
Yeah.
7 to 3 or,
But then if I did that, I wouldn't have somebody every day. So that's why we
Okay.
didn't do a full 9 to 5.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because I tried. I mean, we tried doing like, okay, so they can do the full days, but then you don't have them for 2 days.
Right.
And then we tried to break it up so it was just 4-hour shifts. But then by the time they check their email, answer the phone,
Right.
and sign into everything, it's like, okay, I'll see you later. And
Obviously, you don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, I agree with you.
so,
agree
I mean,
with you.
I've
Yeah.
really like exhausted all resources
Yeah.
with the part-time people. And the problem is too, is we don't have the office space.
Right.
So if I had another office, it wouldn't be a big deal, but if someone comes in, they don't have a phone. So now they're like sitting at a table, they can't answer the phone, one person, it's just,
Yeah, okay.
please come over and see it. I would love for you to visit.
Yeah. When you say afternoon shift and morning shift, what happens in the afternoon that's different than the morning? As far as like if they come in at, say, 1 o'clock or something, what happens in those hours?
So it just depends. Like right now, Pop Whalen's open, so we have a lot more people coming through the facility and skating, because we have afternoon skating, so they're renting skates.
So
They're doing
do your folks look after that, open and close it and
They
stuff like
also
that?
do that. They work the window, because the window is at the front office, and they're doing all their administrative duties.
Okay, and I thought Pop Whalen had a separate kind of 1 or 2 people that were there doing that work. Am I
We
wrong on
do
that?
it for the weekends, but during the week, it's one office, so there's not really
Okay.
space to have 2 people working in there.
Okay,
So we have that person also does the window. On the weekends, we do 2 office people, and then Pop Whalen, and then also you have the Zamboni drivers.
and does Pop Whalen have its own administrative costs as well? So part-time wages for Pop Whalen is budgeted for 36, expended to date so far 19. So that's what you're talking about as far as those people, those are part-time, those are different than your staff?
Yes, those are, well, some of it is the weekend staff, so that they can man the windows on the weekend. And then some of it is during the week, but it's the Zamboni drivers.
Any other questions?
I mean, can I just say one thing? Our department is, I think, one of the only ones that doesn't have a full-time person, an admin person, I think, besides police and fire. And they have dispatch to answer their phones all the time. So I don't know how that works for them, and I'm just saying, like, it's difficult. We have a lot of money going through our office, a lot of people visiting, a lot of things going on, and it's just hard to maneuver with the limited resources, so. And this isn't the first time it's been requested. We've requested it before, we got the part-time, we've been trying to make it work, and it's just to the point where I have a very frustrated staff, and people who are frustrated with how we're handling things in the office. And that's why I'm bringing it to you again.
Okay.
Just to add something, Christine, you're probably the only department that's got a new person in probably half a dozen years.
Oh, I can't hear you.
You
What?
got a new person last year, a full-time person. You're probably the only department that's got one in the past half a dozen years.
That was for parks maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of things that we'd like to do, but we
I know.
certainly have taxpayers that say, well, adding another $50,000 to the budget may be a little excessive at this particular time.
Where does that parks maintenance salary come in? Where does that reflected?
The
Maintenance,
Parks maintenance position, that full-time one, is broken off between Pop Whalen and Parks maintenance, because they do Pop Whalen hours and they also do park maintenance hours.
Okay. But that's still under Parks and Recreation Department, correct?
Yes, all of this is under Parks and
Okay.
Rec.
I'm just trying to grasp
Yeah.
the whole picture,
Yeah.
you know? Because the problem that I see from an outside person not
Yes.
seeing is how it all fits together.
Yeah.
And I see lots of different figures,
Yeah.
and you don't get a true perspective until you kind of put them all together, and then you get an idea as like what the budget is in toto.
Yeah.
That's all.
it's just a lowly budget.
I know, I'm not finding fault, I'm just trying to get a handle on it, that's all.
Okay, we got,
One more thing. These two part-timers, have they expressed frustrations themselves? I mean, are they, one of them's going to lose their job, so do they seem content with their jobs, the way it's working out?
They're overwhelmed. They feel that it is overwhelming because it's like, one of them wants me to give them more, but then the problem is when you do the 15 hours and that's what they're at because that's what they can work, it doesn't work. If I limit the other person's hours, they're able to do more things. So it's a struggle. It's just, I think we take pride in our department and we want to get things done right. And with the limited hours, like I have people who are like, well, I'll just work off the clock. And I'm like, you can't do that because they want to get their job done and they want to do it right, but we can't do that.
But you're trading 40 hours for 40 hours, though, It's-
Yes, I'm
it's-
still trading 40 for 40, but the problem is if I have two people, I don't have the space for the second person when that other person's
Yeah,
there.
this stuff falling through the cracks thing, it doesn't really translate to me too much. I worked in a 24-hour business, and I was one of 3 guys that worked on a car, and so I would pass the car off to the guy who relieved me, and that's how it worked. I mean, it's just, we made sure the messages got to the next guy, and that was it. So you still, as I said, you're training 40 hours for 40 hours. It's just that you're using 2 people instead of 1. And you say you're overwhelmed, but does that mean that one person who working 40 hours, will that person be overwhelmed?
Well, they'll have a full day so they can actually complete projects, and then they come back the next day for a full day versus I'm working 4 hours today, in 5 hours tomorrow, and I have Tuesday off, and then, you know what I'm saying? So that's where it is. It's like, by the time you do your initial things when you get into your office and try to dig into something, you have like a half an hour before you leave. And so that's where I think it is. There's not enough time to really bust out a project or work on something, and then leave it to come back the next day. And we also, everyone has their struggles. I'm not downplaying anyone, but we're managing, like most ski areas have their own person that manages that. And then they have their own Pop Whalen, an ice arena manager. I'm doing both of those, but I have help from my staff, but I'm doing all the schedules. So it's a lot of different jobs that I'm not complaining. I love my job, but it's a lot to do. And it's like I have to pass some things and have them do some things. And I need to make sure, if you give it 2 part-time people, you might get someone who's, like I said, just passing the time. It's not a top priority. So they're not, oh, I didn't finish my job. It's okay. But yes.
That's the part that bothers me. When you keep on saying you keep people who sit there and just pass the time, to me, that's a management issue where you need to sit down and go, this is your job, communication lines are open.
Yeah.
And this is the second time you said that tonight. It really gets to me that you really, if you have that as a problem, you have to talk to the employee. It's not about one person or 2.
Yeah.
It's communication and sit there and tell them what their jobs are and make sure they do it.
Yeah. I didn't mean passing the time. What I meant was you're not going to get someone I don't know. I guess I kind of because I'm salary, I just do it until the job's done, but people have to punch out and they don't take it home with them. So I guess that's what I was saying with that. That's what I meant by that.
yeah, Peter?
Yeah, I just ran a report on this budget for the 100 and 200 series. So the increase in salaries under this scenario is $7,295. Now, mind you, some of that is this increase proposal plus the non-union increase of 2.5%. And the increase in, let's see, the 200 series is $30,005. Now, 22 of that is the health insurance portion for the 9 months. Just kind of give you, that doesn't give you an exact.
Right, but for the full 12
It
months, it's
doesn't
gonna-
pull that position out and
right.
isolate it, but it gives you a feel for the overall salary benefits increase.
But that won't include like the retirement or anything like that either, right?
Everything
It does.
increases in everything. That's just the gross increase in 100 and 200, which includes Social Security, retirement. Let's see, retirement's $3,600.
Right.
Well, let's see, I'll just go down, and rattle them off. Supervisory salaries, $2,460. Well, 5 between the hourly and the part-time because of the $29,000 increase in hourly wages is offset by 24,000 decrease, so that's about 5,000. So that's a net of $72.95 in salaries. Health insurance is up $23,790, and $22,000 of that is within the position. Dental is up about 1,000. Retirement's up about 3,600. So, parks admin total overall is 37,000.
Okay, thank
I
you.
could, if you'd like to, I could back that out and get it exact.
Does anybody need that, or they have a pretty good idea of the difference, what it's gonna be?
Your pardon?
Do you need any more additional information from Peter than what he just stated? Okay.
I fully support this. As much as it grabs me to heart and all of this, probably one of the most complicated departments outside of the Public Works Department, which is in shambles. But, and I'll cover that later. But there's a lot in here. And I think that the rationale is well-founded, in spite of the fact that it's going to cost us more money. I had quite an insight about 15 or 20 years ago when I made a spreadsheet program that covered all of the activities, the biggest spreadsheet I've ever had. It was humongous in order to cover all of the activities. And there's a lot of money coming in and out. That's all I have to say.
Okay, any more discussion on the motion?
What's the motion again?
To reduce line 114 hourly wages by $29,417.
I have a question. Christine, so if we were to leave the increase, and that 30, according to this, rough figures, 37.5 would increase. All the other figures, increases in your budget would have to decrease to offset, so we have a somewhat of a little, can you do that?
I guess I didn't hear. It's hard to hear.
Okay. So if we accept the 37 and say, yes, we'll go with the increased person, the rest of your budget for maintenance, beaches, Abenaki, hockey rink, programs, and so on and so forth, are you in a position to take a hit there to reduce those costs, or do you want those two?
I mean,
If you-
I
if you-
know
in
there's
other
a
words,
give and take. I
if you-
mean, we can definitely see what I can give up,
Right.
but some of the things like are necessary. Like,
I understand that.
so I'm definitely open.
I'm just thinking, like,
Yes.
if you increase your efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
the other thing should be better managed also at the same
Right,
time.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
So I just,
yes.
because I'm looking for a little give and take, that's all.
Yes, yes, and
okay.
I totally understand
Okay.
that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Hey, John, one question for you.
Beg your pardon?
One question for you. I always thought you thought that the Parks and Rec Department had too big a budget or was ballooning too fast.
Well,
As far as,
we have some heartburn in some areas, yes.
okay. I'm just, as per past discussions, that was,
Yeah, and it, as I said, it grieves me to support a big increase like this
Yeah.
as we continue on and on. We'll see this lack of foresight on other parts of the program. Yeah.
What I don't understand, I
I
don't see
think
by making...
there's some areas where I think we can reduce.
Right, as Bob said, you've still got 40 hours, a 40-hour person. You're covering that now with these two other part-time positions.
Not adequately.
I don't understand, why not, John? If I'm the manager, I'm going to tell the people what to do and what I want. I'm going to make sure that they do it.
Yeah.
But I don't have the workspace for them. So somebody doesn't have a phone, somebody doesn't have a desk. So it's like they're trying to, they basically have a table in my office like this, and they're bringing stuff over and walking back and forth trying to get stuff. And then they're like, okay, I'm out of hours. If they overlapped.
So do we need more workspace, or do you need another person? I don't understand do we need to put another special office in for the people off of your office, or is that the whole issue, the workspace?
No, if you're saying, why can't you have two people and just increase the hours, that the first problem is they don't have a space. I think you're still gonna have issues if you're splitting one position with two people and they're not managing the same things. Like, if they're doing payroll and they're not doing the intake on stuff, or like, it's hard to split up, like, okay, just handle this part, but you don't see this part.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, the motion is reduced line 114 by $29,417. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
All right, let's do a hand vote. All those in favor of reducing the line by $29,417, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that a yes or no? Okay, sorry. 5, and against the motion? Okay. Motion passes. I'll do a motion on line 117 to add, change that line to $33,405.
33 what?
$33,405.
You get a second?
I got a second.
That's going to be used for the two part-time people, right? You can use two part-time for that 30, is there enough money there for the two part-time?
I mean, if they stay, I don't know how that's gonna work, but okay.
Well, that's where you were at, right? So we're going back to that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of increasing line 117 to $33,405, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Can you make the other changes in the other part of the budget? Okay, thank you. Okay, 200 series.
It's gonna have completely changed.
Yeah, Peter's gonna make those changes for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
When will that be available? Tomorrow or?
I'll give it to Annie tomorrow, and
Okay.
she does all of this.
300 series. 400 series. 500 series. In the dues and subscriptions, what didn't you use last year, or what have you paid for so far?
Max Galaxy hasn't come out yet. So if you're looking at because it's so low, what we've expended so far, Max Galaxy is still, it comes later in the year.
600 series. 700 series. 800 series. Where's the National Recreation Parks meeting this year?
The National I already went to it. It was in New Orleans for
Okay,
this
so
year.
do you have another one coming up, 2018?
Yeah,
You know where it's gonna be this year?
it's added. Well, the national one is in Indianapolis.
Okay. Okay, that's it on Parks Administration. Let's go to maintenance. Uh, 100 series.
So Dave, this is the hourly increase that you were talking about, that you wanted to do a catch-up kind of thing on the hourly wages?
Hourly wages, these are union
Yep.
positions.
Oh, okay, these
So
are,
they're getting the union increases that were negotiated.
gotcha.
200 series. $300 series.
I had a question, John.
What's that, John?
In the outside services, you asked for, last year you got 19,550. This year you request, well, you've expended only about 12,000 this year. Is it, what's the date of these as of, Pete?
I believe it's the end of October.
October?
Yeah.
So they're pretty current. You're going
We're
to be-
still doing the pruning and the landscaping piece. They just did some of the irrigation, so we're seeing some of those bills now.
Okay.
We still have some tree bills out there,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
But of this increase, if I read it right, you've got $15,500 worth of projected pavilion bathroom cleaning in this outside services number?
They actually took, so I had put it in there, but I believe they took that and they transferred it to the program budget. It's for the pavilion. Is that what you're talking about, that 15?
Okay.
Yeah. So I had put it in there, but we had actually moved it to the program budget. So I had gotten a quote based on the railroad station bathrooms, how those are maintained and cleaned. I'd gotten a quote, what we were projecting for our bathrooms, and that's what they gave me.
Yeah,
Pricing.
Rob, in the programs, it's the 660 was added to line 380 outside services on the program, so that's why it's not on this line.
Are those bathrooms going to be open year-round?
It's supposed to be one that's open year-round, and this will be the first year, but we're gonna have one open that's closer to the trail, and then the other ones would just be from probably April.
If you look at the building from standing out in the parking lot straight on, those bathrooms in the back?
Programs.
So when you're at the playground area
Yeah.
and harvest, it'll be one,
Yeah.
two, and then one on the side. So if your children were at the playground, you'd be able to see them use the bathroom.
Okay.
And then on the other side would be the pavilion area, closer to the field and stuff.
19 grand and change.
Okay.
That's what the Board of Selectmen told you.
I'm looking at the town manager of the department. I'm looking at the two of them, 35,000, and that includes this 12,870 and 2,730 pavilion bathroom cleaning. How did it get transferred out? I don't see it getting transferred out of the land budget. The numbers don't add up. Because if you add up all the items, with the exception of the pavilion bathroom cleaning, it comes up to around $19,000 in change.
Yeah, 19,550, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're looking at, but mine is that, I had the 35,150, and then the town manager, or the selectmen, I think, they actually did it. We ended up, they said, put it in the program budget, so it brings it back down to the 19,550. Yeah, there was just a note at the bottom, but I don't know if you have that, sorry, okay.
The whole thing that
Yeah, okay.
confusing it.
Yeah, I know.
So the number is 19,550.
Yes, yes.
That's the number we
Yes.
should be thinking about.
Mm-hmm,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so let's go to 400 series.
Is the, have we gotten a vehicle maintenance yet?
Yeah, that's part of the 400, go ahead.
Sorry. I just, is $9,000 for repair for rusting the wheels. I know what that would entail, and it can be expensive. Does it make more sense to run it until you have to replace it? Is it inspectable, I guess is my question.
No, with the tires like that, no.
No, so...
This
so
is to bring it so they're
so
up
it-
to code so we can inspect them and still
okay,
run them.
okay.
Yes.
What is PR3? What kind of vehicle is it?
PR3 is a pickup truck.
Is it what?
Pickup?
Pickup. How old?
Was that a pass down to you from the highway department?
That I don't know. I'm actually in the process of working out a vehicle maintenance plan because we don't have one, like capital,
Okay.
so we can plan for the future.
You know what year that is or anything?
Inventory of town vehicles.
Yeah, I think it's one's a 2004 and one's a 2007. I want to say the pickup might be 2004. Let me see if I have it on my. Oh, I might have it actually. 2007 is the pickup, and a 2004 is the 110.
Okay.
Okay, 400.
So if we spend the funds to repair that, are we good for another 3 or 4 years with that vehicle? Just, your guess
Actually,
is
our
as good as
pickup
mine?
truck the transmission just went on our pickup truck, so.
We were looking at the possibility of purchasing 2 new vehicles this year, and the Board of Selectmen felt that doing the repair to this vehicle would hopefully get us, at least 2 years, because the cost of buying a new vehicle at $40,000 for a new pickup and a new van, which the department desperately needs, was just not going to, was not possible.
Steve, in capital outlay, Christine had requested a pickup truck purchase for $39,000, and the selectmen zeroed that line out, so I guess that's why they repair, right, on this pickup truck?
I actually had request, because we also don't have a lot of vehicles in our department, we have a lot of manpower, so I was requesting that So we would be able to have our cemetery crew go out in one vehicle and the other crew. But because we didn't have anything in place, it kind of got thrown out. And so we still need the 2 vehicles that we're running. So it would be been an additional vehicle.
Okay, thanks.
500. 600.
I got a question on safety equipment. Here you say you have 3 full-time personnel that you want to get safety boots for. This is line
Yep, I see
680.
it. Yes.
But yet in your overlay, you say you have only 2 full-time employees.
No, we have 3.
Well, this says, this front sheet says you have 2 full-time employees and none shared, 0 shared, 4 part-timers.
Which line item, John?
I didn't actually do this sheet.
Well, the line that I'm picking up on is 680.
3 full-time employees, and this is in the maintenance division, right?
But I don't, he's talking about this front sheet, and I don't do this sheet, but it looks like we only have, it says only 2 full-time and then 4 part-time. But it should be 3 and 1 is what it should be.
3 and
3 full-time and 1 part-time for that. Who does the sheet? You guys? Ann?
you have 3 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee.
Yes.
Okay, no shared employees.
I think when they say shared, probably we do because one's Pop Whalen and Parks Maintenance, so there is a shared employee. So would that be 1 shared, 2 full?
2 full and 1, then. Is that right? 1 shared.
What does that shared mean? Does that mean within our department or another department?
Well, it's
Like another?
within your department, but it's 2 different programs or accounts.
Okay, so should this front page read 2, 1, and 1? I don't know.
Do that.
I don't.
That's a combination. Jeff does those.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll talk to them to change that, I guess.
Now, why is it that full-time employees' safety boots cost $250 a piece, and a seasonal safety boot only costs $1,100?
I'm pretty sure that has to do with the union. 'Cause-
That's our policy. Well, yeah, the union contract has a safety boot allowance of $250 a year. For non-union people, we give them half that amount,
$100.
$125.
Well, we have 100.
This is 100.
Well, I don't know what it says.
Okay.
Usually we do half, but
We don't actually go out and buy the boots, we just write a check.
well, they can either go buy the boot and bring in the receipt, or we have an arrangement with bootleggers downtown where the department will fill out a purchase order, and they can take the purchase order down there so that they don't have to pay anything out of their own pockets, and then bootleggers will bill us, and the PO always says not to exceed $250 if it's a full-time employee, because that's the maximum safety boot allowance.
So bootleggers gets $250?
Pardon?
Does bootleggers get $250 for that?
If they sell a boot that's a $250 boot, they get $250, yes.
Okay.
If they sell a boot that's a $150 boot, they get $150.
Okay, thank you.
So to ask the natural question then, so if they have a $250 allowance as part of the budget, and they spend $150, does the $100 stay in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
We have some employees that buy boots that are more than $250. They have to pay the balance out of their own pocket,
So,
okay?
700 series. Any questions on that maintenance? Let's go to beaches.
Did you say beaches?
Pardon me?
Did you say beaches?
Beaches,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
sorry.
That's okay, it's just hard to hear.
Christine, on the wages for the lifeguards and stuff, does everyone get a raise if they come back the following year? It's not based on how many hours, just if they say, I'll work for you next year, and they show up, they're gonna get a, how much is that usually, like a quarter or something?
It's a quarter.
Quarter? Okay. Since you increased the pay, are you getting more applicants for the jobs, or?
Yeah, I mean, lifeguards, it's a hard situation because those kids have to pay about $400 up front in order to get certified to be a lifeguard. We actually trained our aquatics director, so she is certified to train staff. So she's actually saved our town a ton of money by training some of the kids because they have to recertify every 2 years.
Yeah.
So she's been helping do that. So we've been growing it. We're still not there yet. We really have to try to help encourage kids. So we're trying to do job fairs and stuff and get the information out ahead of time so they can be lifeguards.
I noticed that you had asked for, on the 100 series for $62,073, and the Board of Selectmen only approved $60,815. You know what they took, did they shorten the season, or what did they do to what are you
Well,
gonna
the reason
move?
why they took that is, because as you see, I haven't spent all my money in the previous year, and so they're like, can we save some money because I was asking for such a big increase in the parks admin. So I said yes, because we typically, kids go to college, so then we lose them. We're open till Labor Day, and then they're gone. So that's why we just didn't give the increase. I think I can manage it with the money I have.
The $60,815?
Yes.
200, 300, 400,
Why such a big increase in the 440 line? This is swimming, isn't it?
I went through, this is for the ADA bathrooms for the beaches. So I just went through and I calculated the exact price in cleaning, and that's what it is based on that. So I was just giving it true to form what we were paying.
Okay. I see. Yeah, the expenditure,
Yeah, it looks like it's on, the problem is we have bathrooms in that line, we have bathrooms in the parks line, so some of it was a little crossover, so I was correcting some of it, but we established for the future, we'll make our POs based on that and just make sure we separate it, because, they're like, oh, it's a porta potty, and then they're taking it out of the wrong line, but we're trying to make it so I can keep track of beaches versus parks, so then I have a better, what I need for each one.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
it's on the 400 series. Let's see what we got next. $500. $600. $700. Those race lanes weren't done was that done a while ago, or would we replace the docks a couple of years ago? The docks for the races, or?
We just replaced, the race lanes haven't been, what we've been doing is you can restring them and change it.
Yeah.
And Kathy's done it for years, and she says at this point, there's,
far
you
gone.
have to replace them. There's no more restringing and doing that. So those are the swim lanes for the swim team. So for that, the swim lines are different at the beaches. Yeah, I thought
We cut to,
that was supposed to be only 3 of
I
them.
think we cut it to 2880.
Yeah, the,
They reduced it to 4,880.
no, you,
We cut-
they cut it in half, I think. Half-
Yeah, they only did
half
instead of
this year
this.
and half next year.
We cut to 2,800.
It was
reduced
6.
it by 2,000.
It should be
Oh, that's
3.
I'm sorry, that's my mistake.
So the race lanes, it was 6 75-foot lanes at 503. It's actually supposed to be 3 of them.
Reduced,
So how much was it total?
reduced line 710 to $2,880.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Do we need a motion on that, or is that what it's supposed to be?
So that was what the Board of Selectmen
Okay.
voted,
I did that wrong.
2,800 and,
Are the other ones trash? Are the other ones?
Yeah.
I'll do a motion to add $2,000 to line 710 to make it back to 4880 for the, so all the swim lines can be done in one shot.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to add $2,000 to line 710 for race lanes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Now, what was that again, John?
Instead of just buying half the swim lanes, we're going to get them all in one shot.
So you're raising, what, line 710 to,
To add another $2,000 back to the 4,880. That's my understanding
I
what I
don't
just
think you
did.
cut it. I think it's still there. It's just staying the same. You didn't cut it. You're fine. That's what it is.
okay. Well, there's no change then.
Right.
Well, yeah,
He didn't change it.
sorry, Peter. Get your crossing everything
Selectmen
off.
said 2880.
Oh, 20.
That's why John made the motion to add
Okay.
two, so we're back up to 4880.
And reduced it. So he just put it back.
We're going to do
So they can do all of it.
We were going to do that.
They just didn't get it in the paperwork.
No, it's,
Okay, 800 series.
With 820, how come when actual expense in 2016 is 1706, and so far year-to-date, we've expended 1083? Why do we need to go up to 3770, even though it's the same approved as the budget for last year? I just wondered, does it need to be that? Will we expend up to 37 for that, or?
So it's based on the federal background checks. I actually lowered the rate because we can do it in-house now. And that just depends on how many new staff we hire. So it just depends how many, if there are a lot of new staff. Plus, we check them every 2 years, so we do a thing. And then the lifeguard reimbursement certificate. So I implemented, well, Ethan had implemented, they get a $200 stipend if they do that lifeguard course, which is $400 to be a lifeguard. And we actually implemented it. They have to work so many hours in order to get that, because what we're finding is like people would sign up and work one day for us. So we implemented that, but not everyone needs to be recerted every year. But you don't know when you do that, so.
they work for us for the whole year, they get the stipend.
Right, if they did that class. So like, it's good for 2 years, but because I had my aquatics director teach the class, we didn't have to give anybody stipends because we did it in-house. That always doesn't work out because some people are coming from out of town.
I've looked at this, roughly a 5-year average, about $1,500 a year. There's a lot of what-ifs in this number. My recommendation is that we reduce this line 820 down to $2,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Last year was 1,700. This year is 1,000. I have an outdated, slightly outdated 5-year average of about $1,500. It's a what-if factor.
So what if I have all new staff? We just
Then
eat
you're
it.
going to have to find money in some other parts of your budget.
Okay.
Well, the selectmen always have some money around someplace.
There's a slush fund.
We'll find it in her budget.
There's a slush fund.
How many lifeguards do you have?
It depends because we hire quite a few, so there could be anywhere from 15 to 20. It just depends hours and availability because some of those lifeguards are also swim instructors, so they're teaching lessons,
Yeah.
and we're manning 3 beaches. We've been lucky because we've had people returning, but now people are aging up, so they might be going to college, not coming back, doing internships. So it's always uncertain if we're going to get someone who stays for a few years and we don't have to invest a lot of money in because they're all set, or if we need to do all that.
And what are their ages? Are they some 16, 17? Or
16, they can start at 16. Some are in their 20s that are going to college, and then some are, I only think we have 4 that are in high school still. I mean, I guess you could, you're saying drop the whole line to 2,000? Is that what you're saying?
that's what the motion is, yes, if
Okay.
I understand it, right, John?
Well, I would just say you still need the background checks. I think the lifeguard certification reimbursement, hopefully if my aquatics director comes back, I'm actually reducing that for us because she can teach the class. So that's where the savings is.
I think what John is looking at is the past 5-year average. You've only, what was it, 1,500 is the highest?
About 1,500.
About $1,500. And he's just trying to wonder, or have you explain, it's been $1,500 for the past 5 years. Why is it now $3,770? What makes this year different than the past 5 years as far as what you spent? Is that fair interpretation, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I take a look at the whole beaches program. 2015, it was budgeted at 90,000, spent 67,000, 68,000. Approved in this year, 92.6. You probably have a few outstanding bills, but you're only spending 76,000.
Okay.
John, what do
So
you,
you got,
John,
50.
what are you looking at, my friend?
I'm looking at the total of the.
The entire, the back budget, the entire
That's right,
budget? Okay, okay.
There's, in other words, you had a swap of 22,000 in 2015. You had a swap of, in this year, 2017, of, looks like 16,000. So, in the swimming section, so,
Yeah.
what, there's money available someplace.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, the motion is to reduce line 20 in beaches by $2,000.
No, down.
No, down 2. Down 2, so down 1,770.
Down to $2,000.
Yikes.
Excuse me, okay. All those in favor of reducing line 820 to $2,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Line 820 is now $2,000. That's on the 800 series. Any other questions on beaches? Move on to Abenaki. 100 series. How about raises for these folks? Do they just get the regular?
They
They
get
do
the
the-
non-union adjustment.
So it's a quarter. It's like the other one.
200 series? Yes, sir. Okay. 300 series?
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
The workers' compensation compensation, give me a little education. Why is that going? Is that the insurance costs? Is that what's happening there?
What's the question? Workers'
Line 260.
compensation?
Line 260.
Workers' compensation?
Yes. Is that a function of the insurance costs?
The rates for workers' compensation change from year to year based on the claims experience.
So
So to even complicate it a little bit more, they're always 2 years behind, so it's kind of, so if you have a bad year, it ends up 2 years later.
okay.
But overall, the increase in workers' comp is much lower. I think this was allocated to this category of workers due to the hazardousness of their work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, minute series,
Yes.
yes, John.
No, I have no question on 300.
We all set on 300? 400?
Okay, I do have a question here. We have a capital reserve for maintenance of Abenaki, is this correct?
Yes, for certain scheduled items that need to be replaced on a scheduled basis.
So it'd be like the groomer,
See what?
the snowmobile, the rope.
It's not
So
for
it's-
routine maintenance, but
No.
it's for replacement of scheduled
Higher
assets.
priced items.
Okay, but then I see in your backup here that this maintenance includes here, the ski rope, tow rope.
Yeah, they need to be maintained. The capital reserve account would pay to replace those items. I believe.
What's the maintenance you do on a periodic basis for this? Replacement? What's,
I guess I don't
it
understand.
seems to me there's an overlap here of what's in this operating budget and the capital reserve.
I don't think there is, John, because if you look at the capital reserve article, there's a schedule of what is scheduled to be replaced each year. Those are capital items that need to be replaced.
I'll have to read that again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
with the backup of with the warrant article every year. So,
So that's like a groomer, because we wouldn't have money for.
Okay, I'm going to reserve this to look at it again after I've read the warrant article.
okay.
How about 410, electricity? Peter, what do you have, how much we spent, the town spent for electricity up there so far? This, October 2nd, it says $8,830.
Well, it's 8,830. Last year was 14,143.
So Abenaki doesn't open yet, so a lot of our stuff isn't spent yet. We do it from now until December 31st is where we do most of our spending for Abenaki, because they'll be making snow.
Right, I was just looking at, it showed for 2016, which well, that wasn't the snowy winter, was it? Did we have a lot of snow, or was this past winter the snow, more snow than 2016?
We make it in the beginning, though.
What's
because
that?
We make it at, we open for December 26th, so
Yeah.
typically we make snow prior to December 26th.
Okay, I was just wondering, because in 2016, you only spent $9,126. And then, so far this year, you spent $8,830. And I was just wondering if there's any way to cut that back, because it's $15,000. Do you have a 5-year average, John, on that, or?
Five-year average for electricity.
5-year average, 13,865.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on the 400 series?
I'd like to go back to 380.
Okay.
Okay. Spend in 2016, I guess it was, 500, spend it to date at $90, and yet they're asking for 2,000.
So like I said, we haven't done any work yet for Abenaki. We just opened Pop Whalen. So now it starts from now until the end of December to get Abenaki ready, because we don't open until December 26th.
Yes, and last year you spent $500 on that. This year, you're going to spend up $2,000. Is this correct?
Yes. Well, we still have the rental coming out for the snowmaking, which is in there. That will be happening. And that's $1,400 right there. And then we've had some issues with our propane stove, just it's very smelly, so we've had to have service calls on that. So we actually put that in there, so we had that. And then they still have to do some work over at the trails and stuff to get the rope ready.
Propane stove, well, that's under warranty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, but we had them come check it out because we did have a small leak. But it's a propane, but there's 6 burners in there, so we've noticed when it's out of season, when the area is locked up and you open it, it's definitely, you can smell it, so we're trying to, yeah.
They have a device that sniffs gas. Have you had anybody that does that?
No, I did talk to the fire department to see if they had something that they could check it out too.
Talk to a gas company. I'll look into it myself
Okay.
because there's a device that is a sensor and you use it specifically for sensing gas and use it specifically for commercial ranges,
Okay.
gas ranges, things like, because that way they can determine if it's an inbound leak or some other kind of thing like that.
Okay.
But I'll check into that for you.
On this, which one is it? 380, outside services, 380, 2520.
Okay, we all set on that? Okay, 500. You had no motion, John, right, or anything?
Beg your pardon?
You didn't have any motion concerning that, okay. 600 series? $700. 800. 'Christine, you didn't spend anything at all for
Yeah, I'm sorry.
construction
I've got
development?
Question on 740, maintenance of equipment. They spent, it's never been in the budget, but they spent $116, 2016, they spent $746 or $749 this year. And yet no request for machinery and equipment. Seems to me it should be about $1,000. I don't know. This is line 740.
It doesn't look like anything was approved for it, John.
Beg your pardon?
It doesn't look like it's never been approved with any line item for 740.
Oh, they're spending money in it.
Yeah, it must be a misprint, or it must be coming from some other place.
Hang on. Find out.
Put it in there, typically put it in my book.
Takes a second.
On the other hand, in 710, they've always had $200 in there, and they've never spent any money on it.
This 746 was, all I can tell was Ladd's power equipment or something. I don't know what that was for,
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
Yeah, small engine repair.
must have been.
Oh, yeah, that could have been, yeah, because they were doing is that what they do? That was
Yeah, lads.
the motor, yeah.
I didn't hear what it was.
A small engine repair.
What?
It was the rope tow engine to repair it.
I'll make a motion that we zero out line 710 and put $200 in the line 740, which is more appropriate, considering, based upon history here.
Zero this one.
Or we can just forget about it.
Any
I
second?
think, oh, sorry. Well, I think the Abenaki budget is kind of slim as far as, just like machinery, equipment, we don't have anything in there typically. So I think that's why it was put in there, because they didn't know where to pull it from. And we were trying to keep true to form what it is. It's a machine that we were fixing, so.
Okay,
Well, if it needs-
I'll forget it.
Okay.
Good idea, though.
800 series? You didn't spend any money on professional development this year?
I can't hear you.
You didn't spend any money on professional development?
Well, Abenaki's not open yet. So this budget is
Okay.
actually not really happening until
Okay.
like November-ish. We're hiring staff and doing all the training to get ready for December.
Okay, any questions? That's it on the Abenaki. Move to hockey rink. .800 series.
We're in the hockey rink, right?
Yeah.
800 series, okay. So these programs, I mean, 112,000, and are these wages to people that,
No, this is money that is paid to the Pump Whalen Fund and the General Fund, in effect, to pay for the public skating hours.
okay,
The ice time is not paid for by customers, other customers.
okay. So this money gets paid to the Pop Whalen,
It's an interfund transfer, in effect,
okay.
from the general fund to the Pop Whalen.
Anything else on hockey rink? Okay, let's go to programs. How come a tennis head instructor makes less than a tennis instructor?
I don't. So basically, it's kind of the way it's always been, but the tennis instructor just seems to be the reoccurring person, so it's year after year. And then we end up always hiring a new tennis head instructor, and they work more hours, so that's just the way it works out. I know it seems silly, but.
Okay.
Crazy world of tennis.
Okay, 200 series. 300 series. Okay, so this is where the new pavilion bathroom went under outside services, right?
Are you talking about 380?
Yes.
Okay. So the 16,000, how come that's so much?
So that is, I got a quote for the new bathrooms, the pavilion bathrooms, what it would cost to have them cleaned, and that was based on the quote.
Is this the same people that do the other bathrooms?
Yeah.
I think it's, actually, I think it's $60 more than it should
What do you mean?
have. 15, it should have been 15.6.
Yeah, but then they're adding the $800 for the,
What I'm saying is
Oh.
when I did the transfer notes, I think I transferred 15,660 instead of 15,600.
oh,
So how much should it, how much should it be?
$60 too much.
60 bucks too much? Oh, that's like, so this is for cleaning the new pavilion once it's started?
well, and that was a quote based on one company, I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Are the
you're right.
cost question, is that an ongoing, going to be an ongoing cost?
It will be, yes.
You must easily be up to about 30,000, John, you think, on bathroom cleaning with everything?
Pardon?
You must be up to about 30,000 for bathroom cleaning, for bathrooms that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's about
the
right.
2,
I've been
4.
sort of adding it up.
Yeah, we'll have six bathrooms, right?
We're talking about the latrine clearing the
Yeah,
toilet.
cleaning the bathrooms in town.
Well, according to this, it's up 15,600 or something like that.
I mean, if you added the ones down at the railroad station. and the
Well,
ones at
yeah,
the
I had a,
dockside.
yeah, I don't have that number in top of
Yeah.
me. But my question is, what does it cost for down at the train, the old train station?
That's who I got the quote from.
What?
That's who I got the quote from, the people who are doing that.
And that's open 24,
No, they actually open it, so I talked to Adam Tasker. They open it early in the morning, and then those people clean it once or twice, depending on the use, and then they lock it at the end of the evening. So we would have the bathrooms on the same type of schedule.
but those two are open every day, 365 days of the year?
I believe they are, yes.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, we'll just have one like that, and the other two will just be in the seasonal, yeah.
But those new bathrooms will be bigger than the ones that are down at the railroad station, won't they? Are they gonna be
Well, it's a unisex one unit, each one,
Okay,
so I'd have to look at the
Those are pretty
dimensions of
good-sized
it.
bathrooms down at the police sta, at the train station.
yeah. You think the new ones are gonna be that big, or?
No.
No, it's just one. I think
Okay.
in there's two, right?
It's
Yeah.
gonna be one men's room, one women's room, and one unisex. The unisex will be the one that will be open.
Year-round or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Buildings and grounds.
400 series?
I got a question. Sure. Well, on 440 rentals and leases, I got a couple of things. On the porta potties,
Yes.
week of 4th of July, does that include everything listed below it? In other words, week of 4th of July, you have Depot Street, Durgan Stables.
Oh, no, sorry.
I got that wrong. But what I really would like to know is
Yes.
4th of July, Depot Street, and Durgan Stables, you know, with all these restrooms we're gonna have around, do we really need porta potties in those locations? You know, from Durgan,
Locations that we traditionally have had,
Yeah.
we're not proposing new locations. This is just a list of
Yeah.
locations that we have.
But-
Durgan Stables actually refers to the one that is for the North Main Street Business District, which is actually close to the sewer pumping station off of the parking lot.
well, how much does it cost?
So depending on the unit, handicaps, I think, are $125 for the unit a week.
A week, okay.
And that includes,
Okay.
I believe that includes one cleaning, and then if I add additional cleanings, it could be more. And then I think The non-handicap are about 100 or 95.
Well, what I'm saying is, though, that, the Durgan Stables, is that there most of the time?
Summer.
It's definitely there all summer.
Well, how long a walk is it from Durgan Stables to Dockside?
Well, if you gotta go, it's a
Yeah,
long. We've had complaints from the business community on the north, north of the bridge, that there's no bathroom facilities for their customers north of the bridge. So, putting the porta potty there by the sewer pumping station makes some people happy. It's been there for a number of years now.
And it was our compromise not to build a complete bathroom out there many years ago.
Well, but the idea of improving the restrooms at Dockside was that it's within the guidelines of walking distance from North Main Street. That was the one reason why we picked Dockside for those improved restrooms. We were on that restroom committee, Dave, and we investigated towns all over the East Coast, and
We did.
and there ain't a town anywhere that's doing as well as we are with restrooms.
Pretty good.
And even then, we have satellite porta potties, so I mean,
There's usually a line. It's bad.
That's a question, John.
Yes, John.
The ones for the railroad station are 15,600 a year.
That's what the railroad station is.
Yeah, just the railroad station, nothing else.
So it's probably more than 30,000 for all the 3 bathrooms, when you do the ones on the dock side and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's more than that.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question. What's Nick?
What's what?
Nick,
Oh, the NIC, we use the NIC, the field, the track and field for soccer and track, so it's the NIC? What else would you call it? Oh, you know what that is, okay. Oh, yeah, so we rent it for soccer and track. And field hockey.
We have to pay for the use of their facility.
okay,
Yes,
that was my question.
yeah.
And can I get back to porta potties for a second?
Oh, sure.
Now, do we have one down at McKinney Park all the time, or most of the time, or? And McKinney Park is sandwiched in between some pretty valuable real estate down there, and I was wondering if you ever got a complaint about that? People looking at a porta potty.
So I did get a
We
complaint.
used to get complaints about people going potty down there.
And without a porta.
In the park without a porta potty there.
So I did get a complaint this year.
So we put the porta potty down there. We don't get those complaints anymore.
We did get one this year, but basically it was just a venting issue, and we put a little vent at the top, and then they were fine, because they said the way the wind was blowing was an issue.
Okay, 600 series. $800.
I'm sorry, John. We got talking about porta potties and all that. I skipped over, we skipped.
Okay.
Safety equipment, 680. Yeah. Again, we had $745 in 2016. This year, $619. Is there any reason why we had to go up? Or we're just continuing on $1,060 a year, no matter what we spend, don't spend?
So I think the problem is I'm too efficient, and we don't, so we lucked out. We had a lot of camp staff returning, so because of that, we didn't have to purchase as many things this year. However, a lot of our camp staff might not be returning next year, just because most of them are college age, internship age, So that's where we're at with that.
Which line item are we talking?
He's talking about safety equipment, 680.
680.
Safety, okay.
See, just another point, if you run short in one part of your budget, you got money here.
Yeah, but if we short every part, then I don't have any money anywhere.
Oh, you always have a lot of, always have enough money.
I know I should probably know this name, because I recognize it. Wink Tapley, who is that?
He was, what is it?
Yeah, I know his name has come up a
Oh,
couple
yeah,
times
he
in
was
your budget.
a recreation person, so they have an award after him.
Okay.
And so it's a program for camp counselors they go to for a training, but actually Wolfeboro actually spearheaded, but we started a lifeguard portion of it. So it's a training with other departments within the state that go to it.
So it's a statewide program, it's not just a Wolfboro, it's available?
It's all recreation departments in the area, whoever wants to go to it.
Was Wink Tapley from this area, or was he?
Yeah, he was from New Hampshire.
Okay. Okay, we all set on, what was this, beaches? Program, sorry.
Just an observation here. The bottom line in program in 2016 was 99,000, 100,000. You left $14,000 on the table. This year you had 101,000, really $102,000. It looks like you're going to leave another $20,000 on the table. In other words, this is what slop you had in the last 2 years. This is just my observation. So you don't have to worry about running out of money. I don't think.
Okay, let's go to, community center. 300 series. $400.
Yes,
Yes, John.
okay. In building maintenance, 435. $5,400 in 2016, they spent $3,500. $5,200 approved this year, and so far it's been $2,665. You're underspending this by $2,000 at least a year. I don't understand this. I make a motion that we reduce this line to $4,200,
Five-year average on that,
$4,000.
building maintenance.
$4,000.
$4,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
We're gonna see if we can get you a five-year average on that, maybe?
Okay.
So it's item 435,
Building maintenance,
$4,146.
Let's see what, well, they left a couple $1,000s on the table in 2016. Looks like there's going to be another $2,500 this year. They can make up the money someplace. No, they're leaving a lot of money on the table every year.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to reduce line 435, building maintenance in community center, to $4,000. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We're going to make up that money here someplace that you wanted.
Okay, let me see here. 600 and 700. Okay, let's move to Clack House. Uh, 400 series.
How come the, such a big jump expended so far this year?
which line?
435, budgeted for 1425 last year, we spent 1657, expended so far this year, you're 3653, so it's a pretty big jump for, I know things happen, was it something unexpected or something that just kind of popped out of nowhere?
You have some work.
Probably that, part of that was brought forward from the prior year, I think, expense.
Oh, yeah. We had, in the spring, we ended up, it was the painting of the fire station, right? Pete, I think that's what it was. So it was brought forth, so it was the painting of the fire station.
What's the sewer? What is that? That $20 a month for the sewer. The $20 a month for the sewer, what is that? Where is the,
Is that the service charge for the sewer? Might be,
They have one bathroom, I think,
they do have a bathroom
in
there?
the, in the barn. Isn't there one in the
Barn, there's a,
There's
13.
Oh, there is one?
Yeah, there is.
as I've used it.
What about
So, how many portable toilets do we have up there for the, not the street fair, the farmer's market?
There's one, I think there's one handicap one.
But they
I
pay
know
for
this one, I've availed myself of that very one.
I pay for that.
the farmer's market.
That's what I was asking, they don't pay for that, or?
I thought they were
I
supposed-
inherited this porta potty budget and we've just, I have a list of what we've been paying for.
I'll have to look at that agreement. I thought they were supposed to be paying for their porta potty.
Is it still there, or is it gone, did they pick it up now?
That's long ago.
I think it's, I
So
have
it's
a,
like-
I should have brought my sheet, but
3 months or 4 months?
yeah, every year there's kind of a baseline of when it gets dropped off and picked up based on when the farmer's market is, I believe.
So you'll check out about you guys to get together on that?
Yeah, to figure out, it's kind of I did have a chat with Adam Tasker about some of them too, just to be on the same page, so I can give you notes on that.
600?
Yes. Maintenance supplies, budgeted 140, last 2 years spent $0.
Which, that's interesting, because we just did fix the fence, so. I'll
Beg your
just-
pardon?
Oh, I was saying that's interesting, because we actually fixed the fence this year and had some stuff, so I have to see where that came out of, because it wasn't taken out of there.
Yeah, does this include the repairing the fence? No, didn't. It's not, that's
I know,
not.
I don't see anything pulled out of there.
So are you saying that there has been some money expended in that account?
Yeah, I know that we did fix the fence, but I'm not sure why it wasn't pulled out of that account, so I don't know if they ended up using it from, I don't know if it was building maintenance. Probably,
I wonder if it got bounced into building maintenance.
that's what I'm thinking. So I think, I mean, this is a joint effort because it's the Historical Society kind of manages it, and then there's things that I do. So sometimes they do their own things, but typically they'll call me and we go over and fix what needs to be fixed.
Okay. 600, we're all set on that. 800?
I don't do
Okay, let's go to,
What's that, what did they spend on that $4,000? Do you know?
I don't know because I don't have a piece of that.
Maybe that's what,
They hire a docent, usually, and, you know, the docent, you know, conducts programs and tours there
the person we see walking around town every once in a while.
during the summer months.
Okay. Okay, let's go to Paul Boyle and Ice Arena. $100 series
So the question arises, budgeted last year was 17.9, we've expended so far 23.93, and we're still at the same request, so that's a little bit less. Does it need to be $17,000 for that? What's the 15-year average? Do we have an average for that at all?
So this was just created, this was that full-time position. So we had last year reduced the part-time wages, and we put that full-time person that shares the park maintenance into this line. So we actually haven't used any of this money yet, we're just using it now because Pop Whalen just opened up in October. So it's September, October.
So between now and the end of the year, what would your projected expended date be?
Well, they would be doing 40 hours a week and they started September, getting it ready till the end of the year, so we could calculate that. It might be less based on just this initial year because we didn't have the January, February, March of this past year. You know what I'm saying? This is a new, yeah, okay.
Okay, 200, 300. 400.
Yes. Rentals and leases. Again, 2016, it was $1,300, spent $886. This year is approved at $1,925, we spent $800. Is there a reason for spending
Hold on.
twice as much, or budgeting twice or three times as much for 2018?
Are you on rentals and leases? Is that where you're?
What?
Where are you? Sorry.
Are we on,
Oh. Did we skip?
on Pop Whalen,
Rentals and leases?
Yes.
line 440?
Yep. So last year we did 885, which was,
There must be something new in order to
yep. Hold on, I can tell you.
want to spend want to budget 2.5 times as much as what we spent in the last 2 years individually.
I mean, I'm trying to be more efficient, so we were spending money, but it just wasn't in the right line. So I was just trying to put actually stuff in the right line where we're spending it. So it could have been coming out, but it just wasn't put in the budget. So that's why I put it in there so you actually know where the money's going. I can just see if hold on.
Well, there must have been
The
some
scissor
corresponding
lift, this is
reduction
something
in
you have
some
to
other
do
line.
twice a year, as I recall.
So it's to change the light bulbs and fix any damage to the top of the roof. Hold on, I was just looking for my other, and I can tell you if that was new. We had it in there last year too, but I seem to recall we actually didn't end up renting it twice because we didn't need to, because we ended up doing everything we needed with one. I don't think we had to change all the light bulbs, and that's why we ended up only renting it once. Do you want me to?
That's two years in a row that was that
Yeah.
way?
I guess so.
Well,
So you think we could save some money there, John?
well, I certainly do. I
Okay.
think that, make a motion, we reduce this line to $900,
Okay.
What line are you talking, John? 440?
440.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of reducing line 440, $900, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So the new figure is 900?
900, yes, sir.
I have a question on 411. Do you
On
anticipate?
411?
411, yeah.
Okay.
Do you anticipate that gallonage being roughly the same this year? Is that typical?
440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 440. 4
Yeah, I went through our bills and kind of got the average to figure out what it was and what we spent, so that's where I came up with that.
So is the gallonage is roughly the same?
Right.
So it's a function of price.
Yes, exactly, that's what it is, yep.
Thanks.
I've got a question. What is actually the admin cost allocation? What does that do?
Well, for each of the enterprise funds, we, in effect, back charge them to an allocation of administrative costs, portion of my time, portion of his time, et cetera.
So that's a cost that's charged to,
It's actually money that comes back to the general fund
gotcha.
from the enterprise funds.
Okay, and that money goes into the general fund?
Into the general fund.
Okay.
Helps offset tax rate
Okay.
increases.
500, 600,
$635 gasoline. Last year it was $0, this year it's $0 spent, so now we suddenly have $120 a year. The reason for this? You have something that use gasoline in there?
I would have to check that out for you.
Is the engine oil and
What
the
uses gasoline at the pump well?
Beg your pardon?
I was asking her what uses gasoline at the pump well.
I want to say it's our edger. We have a gas edger.
Okay.
full outside?
No, for the ice.
But you wouldn't want a gasoline motor in an inside building, would you?
I think they do if it's all, they open up all the doors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With what, John?
I said I wouldn't think you'd want a gasoline motor inside of an enclosed building.
Yeah, Canton.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, if that's the case, then how come you haven't spent any money?
I know, I don't know.
Probably because it gets charged to other accounts.
Yeah, no, what?
Yep.
What?
I'm assuming that probably it's
Yeah,
something
sometimes
else.
things don't get, I mean, I'm doing my best, but sometimes it doesn't get put in
6:35.
the appropriate thing. I can investigate it, but I can't give you an answer right now.
I'd
John.
like to have this,
Checked out.
excuse me, go
I
ahead.
think the other question, if I may finish my question,
Gasoline.
we're talking about engine oil and hydraulic oil, we're not even talking about gasoline. So
Right.
Right.
engine
It's
oil and
probably
hydraulic
for
doesn't.
the is this Pop Island? Yeah, so it's probably Zamboni.
Yeah, hydraulic oil,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But if we haven't spent any money there, or recorded expenditures there, then why do we have it?
Well, it just appears to me that it's misidentified. Right, that's exactly, yeah. It looks to me like it's more of a maintenance supply than anything else.
I'd like to have this revisited then. So it's only $120, but
Yeah, okay.
Simple matter.
yeah, I do have a question on 638 propane. Why, is this an increase in unit price, Pete?
Well, no, this isn't a bid, this is not a bid price, this is the
This is for the Zamboni.
propane. I can't bid that stuff because it's not enough bulk. They have to buy the cylinders to run the Zamboni on it, and I can't get bids on that.
Okay, but it looks like it's costing us less than $2,000 a year. Now we want $2,670. This year we spent $1,920, year before $1,845. Suddenly it's up 7%.
So again, this is something I went through, we averaged out what we had to switch, I think, who we were getting propane from, and so we got the price of the tank, and then we averaged out roughly what we thought we used in that allotted period, and that's how I came up with that. Again, I was trying to be efficient and put it in the right line and make sure it is accounted for. And I guess it's based on, oh, that's spelled wrong. It's based on usage, so
I also think by the end of the year, you'll be up over $2,000, right? You're gonna use that thing in December, right?
Right,
So-
because we just opened in October, and so this is from January, February, March,
Right.
and now October, November, December.
And it's been, you've been running it, you run it in November too, then? You-
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
November,
so we started October, the beginning of October, November, December.
okay, so it's 1920 plus November and December.
Right.
So that'll close you in on that 2,500, 2,600 number.
Okay, let's go to 700. $800.
Missing 900 series. Debt service.
Like somebody swallowed page 12. John.
Beg your pardon?
I think somebody ate page 12 when they were doing this. There's no page 12, and that's where the debt service should be.
Yeah, no,
Well, it's going to be on the order of $40,000 for the debt principal. And the interest should be about $13,000.
Yeah. $40,710 for principal and $11,719 for interest. And then-
That makes quite a difference.
Well, the bottom line is correct. Just when this got copied, somehow copied, page 12 didn't show up.
So that shows that, the bottom line shows 1.3% less than last year, this year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to, do you have stuff from the capital, Christine?
Are you gonna do cemeteries?
I'm sorry?
Cemeteries as a budget?
Cemeteries.
We don't want to forget John's favorite.
He's all set. He knows his lot. He won't know, yeah, he knows his lot.
Cemeteries,
Probably
okay.
Alan did, yeah.
Up towards the front of the book.
cemeteries, yeah, right up there in the front.
Okay,
The cemetery.
What do I need to do on it?
What?
What else do you want on it?
Some grass,
There is some grass on it.
some weeds.
What, Middleton Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be split up.
Three boys lot.
No, the grass isn't gonna grow.
Someone said they saw some deer eating it the other day.
Gonna put turf down.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Peter, do you have a figure on the total amount of money we spent on the new cemetery?
If I could get it, I don't have it right off the top of my head, but yeah.
Okay, can I check with you on it tomorrow?
Yeah, give me, I got a budget report I have to finish up in the morning, but let me see what I can do about it.
Well,
I think Monday morning at the latest.
Monday,
Monday I can have it. Yeah, no problem.
because it does need some more work on it. You got it enough so that people can buy a lot now and make use of it. But it does need some loam and some grass seed. And if there's money still left in that article, I expect to see it spent.
okay, 100 series on cemeteries. 200, whoops,
Just a general question, David. So this workers' comp increases across the board for everybody, is that really what we're looking at as the experience for the town or for the individual department?
Isn't it based on state
Yeah,
statistics?
there's always, there was an increase across the entire budget as far as workers' comp.
Thank you.
200, 400. 600. How many cemeteries do you know, Christine, to take care of?
43.
How many?
43. Some of them are just pocket ones, you walk in and
Old
have to,
family farm ones,
yeah.
everything else is gone.
Okay, any questions on cemeteries?
Christine,
Yes.
can you just talk about this paperwork you have in the back here?
Sure.
About it's about cemetery restoration,
Yes.
preservation.
Yep. So we have had a lot of people inquire about our cemeteries. I don't know if you've been to any of them lately. Pine Hill's a perfect example of a lot of stones are down and fallen. And as we were working on this Middleton Road Cemetery, we realized there weren't any I guess, laws, so to speak, in place about planting trees and shrubbery and all that. And so when you start doing that, it causes some of those stones to fall and things to crack and whatnot. There was a class that was being offered that I sent Kathy Rankin and Ken Franson, who put this paperwork together, and it was about restoration, because we do get, I believe the trustee of the trust funds have money to do some of the, the work and make our cemeteries look the way they need to look. And so they went to this class, they learned a bunch of information. We actually met with the trustee of the trust funds and we presented it to them to say, this is what we see the future for cemeteries, if we could have more money to put forth in to kind of restore what we have and take care of it. And so we implemented the Middleton Road Cemetery, so we got those laws kind of passed across the board for all cemeteries, and now we're going in and trying to restore some of the stones and take care of what we have.
David, you've worked in a lot of communities. Does any other community do that?
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
They do go around and check the stones
yeah.
and repairs and things?
I was in, I served about 6 or 7 months as the interim administrator in Douglas, Mass. Any of you know where Douglas, Mass is? It's right where the border of Rhode Island and Connecticut come together, and right there is where Douglas sits. And they had a cemetery board of commissioners, and when I was there, they were having a firm, I think they were from Indiana, two guys. They were cemetery restoration specialists. They spent the whole summer there at the town cemetery, restoring all the old headstones. There are people that do this work. And so we sent, when I learned that we had a couple of people that were interested in learning how to do this work, and they were having a program down in Mass at, where was it, Gloucester or Salem or somewhere?
Yes. Yeah.
We sent them down there. It was a hands-on training course where they learned how to, put monuments, how you put them back together and restore them and such. They're actually doing some of that work now in the Pine Hill Cemetery. I don't know if you've seen that. And the cemetery, the trustees of trust funds have basically agreed that they will reimburse us for doing this kind of work. So basically, what we're going to be doing is going ahead and expending the funds, and then going to the trustees of trust funds and looking for for reimbursement.
Now,
You're working your way from the big ones into the smaller ones, or?
Well, I think they're gonna concentrate, Pine Hill is in tough shape.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of broken monuments and ones that have fallen over and such.
Right,
That's where they're starting.
Unfortunately, I don't have, there's another sheet, and I'll get it to you, but it actually, Ken did a really good job. He went into quite a few of the cemeteries and broke down like how many stones were off, how many were broken, how many needed just to be cleaned. So he kind of went through it. So he's just taking it piece by piece. So we just started in Pine Hill because honestly, that's where I get the biggest complaints of
Really?
people
Yeah.
calling me to see like, what are we gonna do to help this cemetery? Like, he picked up one stone, and I guess it was, the base of it was buried under like a lot of loam. So it's like he had to move around to kind of fix it and
Yeah.
reset it and all that, so.
now,
Good.
you have a budget, an additional budget request on the back of cemeteries. Now, which are, it looks to me like additions to budget lines in the cemeteries. And I'm just wondering where this is at. I mean, did this die with the Board of Selectmen, or are these numbers being subsidized by the trust funds?
They're gonna be paid by the trustees of trust funds.
Okay, so
We're gonna expend the funds
okay,
out of the budget and then get reimbursed.
okay. So you're acting on this additional request, then? That's really all I want to know. Okay, thank you.
We just wanted you to be aware that this is going on.
That's good, David.
Excuse me a second.
Yes, sir.
What Bob was just pointing out here, it will not show up on this budget here?
No. No. We will be, expending monies out of the town budget, and then periodically we will request reimbursement through the trustees of trust funds for this work.
Doesn't sound quite kosher.
It's legal, John. I've talked to the auditors about it already.
What?
I've talked to the auditors about it.
You have?
I said it's fine as long as I run it through a balance sheet. Due to and due from account. So we do it, we book it as an asset, so we get the capital.
Okay.
And if zeros,
Yeah, I was wondering because it doesn't show up on the budget lines, and, I just was curious about the mechanics of it.
Now, these people going to do this work, they're town employees?
I assume it's Kathy.
Part-time,
Yeah, it's Ken Franson, who currently works for us, and another person who've been trained to do it.
Boy. This doesn't feel right. I'm going to check out.
Okay, we're all set on cemeteries. Let's slide into, do you have anything in capital?
Yeah, the hockey rink does at least.
I mean, how about under general fund?
Yeah, there's stuff in general fund, but the selectmen did most of it in.
I've already been shopped.
where are we going?
My capital outlays.
Way to the back. So, general fund, you have any stuff that's
Yes.
still in there?
I have a minivan in there.
Minivan.
Should be Parks Admin, is that what we're talking about? What are you talking about? Parks Admin.
Parks, okay, now that's out.
And that's a lease deal? It's going to be a lease deal?
Yes, so what happened was our minivan that we currently had, the bottom of it rusted out. And so now we are down to just those two vehicles. We don't have anything else. I investigated the price of it, and then talking to the selectmen, we suggested that we do a lease deal because I didn't have
Okay,
the money.
okay.
I don't know what you were
Swim team shed?
Yep, the swim team shed, I believe they reduced the amount. I've actually reached out to the VOTEC to see if they could help with that.
They're gonna give you a hand, hopefully?
What?
They're gonna give you a hand for 2,000?
Yeah, they, I haven't been able to talk to the guy because it's been a little crazy with school going on and stuff and the power outages, but, I sent him an email and I know that, someone on one of the selectmen had reached out to them and they sounded very excited about it. So it's actually the swim team shed and I'm also talking to them about the leaf box.
Then it looks like
Tennis
tennis
court?
court maintenance? Yeah.
Yes. So,
Did you have trouble this summer, David, playing tennis on the tennis courts?
I haven't played on the town tennis courts. I play at the private courts, but,
Oh,
so I can't attest to the quality of the lines.
notice that, I remember, was it 7 years ago you had trouble when you were playing on it?
I've had a few spills, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I ended up on crutches at one point, if that's what you're referring to, yeah.
Okay, so you're all set on the maintenance, tennis court maintenance. What's this $1,000 for,
that's the leaf box.
what's $1,000 gonna get you?
Well, that's the one they want me to go to the VOTEC and they cut it down to 1,000.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Plywood box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the only other one I had was Pop Whaling paving, and it's just to, I just paved half of the parking lot this year, and it's just to do the remaining section. And it's just to actually resurface it.
Okay, so that's in the Pop Whalen Fund?
Yeah, that's in Pop Whaling,
Okay.
so it's,
You have enough money enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's figured in the rates and everything.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else that you might have for us, you want to talk to us about? Nothing? Okay. Anybody got any questions?
John, I just think that some bottom line numbers here on Parks and Recreation. On the general fund is up 7.6% or $67,000 over last year. If you add in to that the capital for the general, you'll come up with a $9,000 or $63,000 increase total, or about 7.5%. It's a pretty steep numbers.
It should be less of that than that now, John, that
With the change in
the employee status and that should knock that down a
Yeah.
little bit, I would think.
I'll get those numbers and I have that tomorrow night, if you like.
That 6% is as it stood before we started
Yeah.
making the adjustments, okay.
But it's been quite a lot. And you do have a lot of slop in there.
Maybe okay in the beaches with the sand? Sand on the beaches?
I actually pulled that myself because I want to do some just research on it before, just to see what we can do to have a better plan. So I ended up pulling that myself.
Okay. Thank you, Christine, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a nice Thanksgiving, and we'll see you till after then. Anybody have anything else?
Oh, thank you.
Before we adjourn, we've got a meeting tomorrow night at 6:30 PM here at the Town Hall, and it's going to be all of general government.
I have some information I wanted to pass.
Certainly, yep.
We pass that around. We just got the town's new tax rate from the Department of Revenue Administration, and I thought I'd share it with you. I think it's pretty good news. Our tax rate only went up 2%. So it went from
Public library.
the municipal rate went from $5.62 per thousand to $5.76 per thousand. That's 14 cents per thousand increase. Also, the overall tax rate, including the schools In the county, if you take it all together, it also only went up 2%. Just the cost of living, basically, so.
Right.
Is that, where is our valuation? Our valuation hasn't changed though, right?
It went up.
Boy, I'm surprised.
It's not comparative, well, that's not comparative. It doesn't show last year's.
That's not a comparative, those aren't comparative numbers from one year to the next.
That's just showing you what was approved this year. So I just wanted to share that. I think it reflects well on everybody here about keeping the tax rate growth under control.
Thank you, David.
Sure.
Thank you,
Leanne,
David.
is the meeting going to be here or at the library?
Tomorrow
Yeah,
is here.
it's here. Everyone else said that?
We only have one meeting now.
The meeting's going to be here tomorrow. Yeah.
planning on leaving my house a little earlier, so I could get there in time.
Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
In favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.